Hi, I'm Will Leach, author of Marketing to Mind States, and this is your Mind State Messenger. Today, let's talk about stress. More importantly, if you're a designer, the importance of understanding the amount of stress people have when they are interacting with your brand, whether that's shopping or maybe on your website. And by understanding the amount of stress people are under, how to maximize the impact that your brand is going to have on their lives and that experience. So, what I want to first start off is that shoppers behave very differently under stress. And are you taking this into consideration? Now, you probably intuitively know this, but let me give you an example. So, it's a commonly understood thing in marketing research that if you test shopping activations or if you test packaging designs inside of a grocery store or inside of like a real environment, the difference between that piece of research and if you just test it inside of a qualitative piece of or qualitative facility, it's very, very different. So let me give you an example of why this matters. So years ago, I was doing a piece of research and we had this online environment where people could go in and shop for different products. And we were seeing how receptive they were to our packaging. But then because behavioral science has told us that people under stress shop differently, I ran the exact same test, but this time I did two things. First, I placed people under time pressure saying, hey, I want you to go shop this virtual aisle and I need you to go ahead and shop it and get in and out of there within 8 seconds, which is actually very common in real shopping behavior. You know, you go down an aisle, you find what you want, you leave. Then I actually had audio piped in where there was an announcement that there was a lost child and that child was in the front of the store. I ran the exact same test, but this time with those two conditions, stress under time, and then also this kind of person, this little kid that was lost in the store, and the results changed dramatically. Here's why. So there's this law called the Yerkes-Dodson law on emotional arousal. Really, it's kind of how people interact with stress. And what it says is this, is that when people have a little bit of stress, there's this thing called emotional arousal. We talk a lot about emotional arousal in my book. And it's actually really helpful for people to have emotional arousal. When you have a slight emotional arousal, you're more focused, you're more excited. So it actually is helpful for shoppers to have a little bit of stress. Unfortunately, too much stress causes people to make errors and they go to default behaviors. So let's get back to my experiment. When I place people under time pressure, we found that people immediately go to the area of the store, area of the aisle that they know best, and they just pick up the first kind of the main largest brand that's in the category. Why? Because it's an easier choice. It has more facings, and it's probably something that they've already bought in the past. So we know that people don't shop as much around discovery and finding new products and services when they're under stress. They actually go to their default behaviors. So it's important for you to take that into consideration when you're designing as well as doing any shopper research. So you have to plan for this tunnel action in shopper activations, meaning that when you first are going to go test a piece of marketing, that at first people are going to be excited, right? So they're in this tunnel vision. When they first start shopping, there's a little bit of this arousal, but then actually what happens is emotionally we degrade. We make more errors. We find more frustration because stress actually, it has excitement at first, but then as stress builds, we actually get more frustrated with it. So are you planning for the stress of your environment, or are you planning for context? Meaning when you're doing research or when you're designing your products, are you taking into consideration the context that people are in, like noise in a grocery store, having people inside of a grocery store that kind of limit what you can see and kind of are behind you. They're causing kind of anxiety. If you're not planning for those things, you're getting a superficial read on your executions. So what I want you to take away from this Mindstate Messenger is that you should design and test for real situations as best possible because there is this tunnel action. So how do you activate on this? It's very simple, guys. First, determine the level of stress by touch point. So you just have to talk to people and ask them as they're engaging on your website, as they're shopping in your store, as they're looking for your brand, where is stress most happening in that experience? Is it when they first enter into the aisle? Is it when they see too many colors? Where is that? That's a very simple thing to do. Next, create environments and design for that context in mind. So if you know that people are having to walk down really far down your aisle, and that should likely increase stress, how are you going to help them find your packaging faster and easier? Well, you want to have larger cues, larger brand blocks, maybe brighter colors. Those things you have to take into consideration because again, if you don't, and you're just testing people in a very nice and easy laboratory or maybe something online, and you're not accounting for that stress, you're going to get a false read on your executions. Basically, this, guys, is really I want you to understand that stress is important for you to take into consideration because it impacts your customers' experiences. They are first excited with stress, but then they make more errors, get more frustrated. And if you're not designing with this in mind, you can actually create some more stress in their lives, and you don't want to do that. You have to make smart steps when designing for stress. And when you do that, you will be able to grow your brand or business using behavioral science. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Now hit that like button if you found this video helpful, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see the latest videos to show you how to grow your brand or business using behavioral science.